too.
Right.
But then
the show must go on.
Well, and I think that example and like my example of the talk are kind of like in like a nutshell like what the industry is.
Oh yeah,
like bar, kitchens,
yeah. Like thinking on your feet.
Yeah, rolling with the punches. And
Yeah.
there's always something that can go wrong. Like, I mean, you talk about lightning striking the other day. I mean, what if that would have put the power out? You know?
Right.
No, you're 100% right. Like you said, roll with the punches. We're shuck and jive basically in this industry.
Staying flexible.
Yeah, staying flexible and being ready.
And keeping it cool, too.
Yeah, that's the
like,
big part.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the biggest things.
As a leader, you know, especially even not even speaking from a leadership standpoint, but being behind the bar, you are in a leadership standpoint, you know, because you're kind of your own figurehead, if you will. Plus, like the management, that's like you know, we've seen it. Restaurant managers are everywhere else most of the time except for the bar. And then when they step behind the bar, it's like you're in the way.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Unless you're reading drinks have been sitting for 10 minutes. Come on.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then it's like, it's a whole new podcast, but we've all been there before. And then and then there's also, and then every now and then you'll get like Jackie Birch.
Oh, yeah.
Who are, you know,
what up, Jackie Birch?
Yeah, restaurant managers that come from a bartender's perspective.
Yeah, amazing.
And they're like, hey, want me to help? And you're like,
oh, fuck yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Tag.
Hop on the service well.
That's it, 100%. That's exactly me and Jackie right there next to each other.
Yeah.
And that usually, too, is kind of off to the side where they're not in the way very much. And
Because they know how to flow.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember when we were working with Kevin, you know, like some nights it's just so busy and we're bumping into each other. And he's like, man, shit, we should go play basketball so we can all learn how to dance around each other a little better. But that's where that manager is your hero.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you've been in the trenches. You know what I need without getting in the way, like you said.
Well, it's the same thing in the kitchen, right? I think more and more, especially as like the restaurant boom continues to kind of grow, and they're thinking it'll grow for the next like 4 or 5 years, and then we'll see what happens. But with that, like there's obviously not as many experienced people that know what the hell they're doing back there that have done all the different components. So you bring a manager in who's never worked behind the bar, who's never been in the kitchen, doesn't know how to put a dish together. So you in your crunch on a Friday, either one's getting hammered.
Yeah.
You need somebody to kind of jump in somewhere. But if you don't have that, then things go to hell real quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a valuable? I feel like I know the answer. I don't know if I know the answer or not. Do you feel like it's a valuable skill for a manager to learn at least the general basics of each department? Like if I was walking into a restaurant with no bar experience, but I wanted to learn a little bit something about like the specialty cocktails that we make, where the beers are, at least to be able to do like the simple things just in case something else like something comes up, because I know it's all happened before where we've been understaffed. And you might need that like extra little hand just to kind of keep the ship from sinking.
I think that's a great point, Pryor, and this is where I will give a huge shout out to Gordon Biersch, because I think their training program is incredible. I think that's vital. I think your manager should be well versed in every aspect of the restaurant. Like I know the managers at Gordon Biersch, it was like an 8-week training process where you did 2 weeks in the kitchen, 2 weeks behind the line, 2 weeks behind the bar, 2 weeks on the floor. I mean, it was, so by the time they were graduated from their training, if you will, they knew every single menu item, how to cook every menu item, how to prep the bar, how to make every single drink, so that if you were in the weeds, they could hop back at any position and help you out.
So like, from like a practicality standpoint, absolutely. I think it also really helps in terms of now I understand like that. Okay, maybe it's hard in the kitchen, but maybe it's hard behind the bar too.
Yeah.
Maybe it's hard to be a server. Getting yelled at and you just got triple sat and you're trying to take all the orders and you had to put in 3 tickets at the same time. Maybe you have a little bit more empathy for that person that's having a tough time when they're in the weeds versus, oh man, the servers they keep making all the money going home. They have the easiest job ever.
Right?
Well, maybe not. And I think it helps having that kind of understanding of everyone's job within the place.
And you'll be able to find a weakness in the company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially as a fresh mind, you're coming from outside. Everyone gets kind of jaded if they're in the same position. You know what I mean? And like you don't notice things that you can improve on, but an outsider would. So, I mean, if you are training as a manager and like you said, you're on the floor, you're getting triple sat, you're like, oh, well, shit, maybe our hosting needs to be improved a little bit. Or maybe the flow of the restaurant, communication, et cetera. So, yeah.
Yeah.
on that note, so on Friday we had that situation where it was like a 20 top shows up, just like, hey, you guys got room for 20? We're like, yeah, sure, no problem. It's like, 12 kids, 8 adults, and then they separate the kids on one table and the parents on one side, and they want split checks, but they're all. How you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like this weird cross thing that goes on.
I'm with them, and
yeah,
those two
exactly.
over there.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my fucking god! And then so I got these kids again that are 18 years old that never really served before. Like so that happens, and then another 7 top, 8 top comes in, and then like it just fills up in just that like 30, 45 minutes. So I end up taking a couple tables just because all the other servers are like 5 tables deep, and these 2 girls got this 20 top. So what I found out was that the menu is like incredibly. It's just hard to read. It's just like it's very complicated for the guest to understand. I mean, I know it because I've looked at it so many times, but for somebody just walking in there, it's like very confusing. Plus, it's a book type menu. So I realize now we got to change it. So today, right before I left too, is I'm building a big, basically 11 by 20,
It's all right there.
2-side, all right there. There's no flipping or anything like that. It's all just like right in front of your face. But for these servers, like it is a very simple setup, but at the same time, the explanation of the menu is very difficult, and that costs a lot of time. I recognize that as soon as I was just talking to these people, and all these questions started to arise, where I realize I have to help them with that situation.
Do I get sides with this, or
right.
how much is the salad?
So I think if we simplify the menu, make it make more sense, these servers can do their job better.
And Chris, I'm sure you have a lot of experience with that, being into marketing major, plus being well versed in the restaurant industry. I'm sure you've probably designed a few menus to kind of help with the overall flow of how the eye tracks everything.
For sure, like where things are best situated. On the left hand side, pricing appetizers. Having one that's kind of your cash cow that's easy. That might be a little bit cheaper. That's really easy on the kitchen versus having some that are a little bit more higher cost. They're more of a pain in the ass to put out, but people still like them. All right, well, we can have those, but we'll maybe price them a little bit higher so that
they won't order as much.
Exactly.
This is great. You're like helping me out because like later I'm gonna go finish doing it. This is perfect.
And they always talk about, and I'm sure you guys know this more than I with the bar, but like if you have a wine list, having I think it's the second cheapest wine on the list is usually the most popular selling. Because nobody wants to look like the cheap asshole that gets the cheapest bottle of wine on a date.
Right, yeah.
What's one step up from your well?
Right.
Or your house.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take the $21 bottle of wine, not the 19.
Right, yeah.
But I do think that when we think of what's the product, the product is the food or the drinks, but it's also the experience and how we talked before going on air, talking about how when somebody walks in, are you greeted or not? How are you made to feel as a customer or a potential customer?
We were actually talking about that last night. As far as resting faces go, we were literally at the host stand talking about when they walk in the door, and you can't see my face right now, but it was just like, hey. You know what I mean? It's like why are you going to do that? You're make it, they've driven all this way to get here, and then this is the first thing that they see. It's awful.
Yeah.
So
well, something as simple as so we all cut fruit as bartenders. Every single one of us, thousands of fruit. Something as simple as when I'm training someone, and I'm like, okay, the bar is situated right by the front door. Don't have your back to the door. Cut facing the door. That way you can at least greet people as you walk in. But something as simple as that, like you said, nails the whole experience. You know what I mean? You want them to be warm welcomed, I should say. Warmly welcomed. It's early on a Monday. But yeah, it makes the whole experience different.
Otherwise, you're kind of playing catch up the whole time. Versus, if the restaurant's busy and it takes a little while to get my drinks out or my food out, even if I can tell the waitress or the bartender was hustling to try and do their best, I'm okay with that. Versus if I can tell they're kind of, like you said, just not into it,
lackadaisical. Who cares? Yeah, I have a couple of those, and it shows. And then so the other day, these guests, they wrote a review on Google. It was a 4-star review. Said the food was great, we loved it. The kids menu was great. But they were like these 2 young girls, and it was actually that 20 top, and they were just like. The girl just didn't seem like she cared. Like she did everything right. She didn't she was a little slow on getting the kids' food out there, but there was just this feeling that she got where it was just like, what, kind of this whatever feeling.
So Evan, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second.
Yeah.
So I'm that waitress right now.
Yeah.
How are you going to handle it now?
So how am I going to handle it? So this happened. So I went by and talked to the table, made sure everything was okay. Everybody said everything was okay. One lady had pulled me to the side and told me about this towards the very end about this whole situation, and then eventually wrote this review. So I spoke with her. I talked to her about, I understand that this is your first job, first serving job, but we need to be a little bit more peppy when we're here and have a little more positive attitude. So I just kind of brought that up to her attention that way. But then I also put a giant message out to all the servers now and saying that the schedule will now be performance based off of, your attitude, your teamwork mentality. We're welcome to sit down and talk about this, but starting on the 15th, we're starting basically a whole new training program.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the goal.
Talk about teamwork-based mentality. I hate when you have a waitress that goes up and is my food ready?
Oh, yeah.
And they're only there to kind of run their own food versus we need food runners to run food whether it's yours or not.
Yeah, and so that was a part of the program. The new program that I'm writing is that I basically wrote down the procedures of ordering for the bar, servers, host, but I don't specifically say like bar, this is what you're supposed to do. It's basically everyone that has everybody runs drinks. Everybody straightens the chairs out. We all work together. If you have time to do anything to help your team members out, then that's what we should be doing. Not like you said, waiting for your drinks or waiting for your food. There's the food's coming up in 4 minutes. There's a whole other task that you could take care of in that time.
And a lot of the corporate places really get that right, where they y'all might even working somewhere where like you kind of tag team everything.
Oh yeah.
Someone needs these drinks around. Here you go. Like
and so your main focus is your section, obviously, but the real focus is the entire restaurant, whether it be trash on the ground or what I mean, just checking on your buddy, like, hey man, you're running around a lot. Do you need anything?
It's great when you. I love to find a piece like a straw wrapper or something like that on the floor and see how many people walk right over it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A good thing you can do behind the bar is, I've done this in the kitchen before, but tape a $10 bill behind somewhere where it isn't likely to be cleaned at the end of the night, and see how long the damn bill
just sits there.
That's great. I like that.
There's a story. I don't think I should bring that up. The trash that I found on the floor the day that I was telling you about. That was a little crazy.
Let's hear it.
So it was. so I do what I do. Like I'm always walking around looking. If I see something on the ground, I'll pick it up. Lead by example. If if they start see you picking up trash, maybe they'll pick up trash too. Hopefully, what you assume. But you know where I'm going, Chris?
Yeah, I know where you're going.
So I'll just keep it simple. I won't name exactly what these drugs were. But so I look down on the ground. There's a piece of plastic, I think, but it turns out it's not plastic. It's like drugs, and it's like some hard drugs, man. And so I had to spend the rest of the day doing, detective with the cameras, and then finally figured out what the situation was.
Employee.
Yeah, it was heavy, man. I sent a couple people home that were suspected, and then I had to ask for a drug test to come back to work. And then in the end, I figured out who it was through a camera and a conversation.
Wow, I was thinking it was maybe a tampon wrapper or something.
No, it was heavy. It was a rough day, man. Yeah, it was a rough day.
We kind of touched on it with the episode with Justin, but
the industry,
man,
Yeah.
the industry, and all the demons that go along with it, and they're out there, and I guess my only thing is there's really there's at least my feeling is that there shouldn't be a sense of pride when it comes to or a sense of, I don't know if the word's like pride or like when you're like embarrassed. By like, a habit that you've picked up,
Right.
that may have started like casually.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're like deep into it. But addiction is like a real thing, man.
Right.
Yeah.
And can I just note something from that conversation? I have 100% empathy with people that have, but at the same time with the situation. But in that situation, I guess I am, I have to protect this restaurant, and I hate to be the guy that says like, you got to go, but you got to go.
Yeah,
like that kind of thing can't happen. But I 100% empathize with the problems that people have. But at the end of the day, like I still have to protect everybody else too, which is the big thing.
Well, we're not, you have a business to run,
Right? Yeah.
and to be honest, like your outside habits don't really they don't have a place, in a business, and they
Right.
definitely don't. From a supervisor's perspective, when you show up to work, and we all say this, we all like read the employee handbook that say come to work looking like this and smile like this and do this, that, and other. But realistically, like those are things to kind of set the tone for you and your for success, like in throughout your life also.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the same thing you did for that kid. And I mean, the 18-year-old kid that wants to be, he wants to do the training and serve and this, that, and other. Like what you're attempting to do by telling him like,